This is your flight simulator. This is your flight simulator on drugs. Any questions?
There are so many good games this month, with bigger titles like Batman and Battlefield, which you are saving up for if you know what's good for you. But what about some of these other titles like Ace Combat, which is ironically flying under the radar? And while we wait for some of those bigger titles, let's see if this particular one is worth your time. First off, I want to preface this review with the fact that I personally have never played any of the other previous Ace Combat games, which I'm told are really good. So what you're gonna get is an unbiased, fresh look at this particular game standing all on its own. Also, in my previous Hawks 2 review, I lamented about how the joystick is now dead, and these types of games are a rare breed, needing fresh life, something new and innovative injected into the formula. Well, that exact call has been answered by Assault Horizon. This new Ace Combat injects a new mechanic, which becomes the focal point for all its gameplay. This is the DFM, the dogfight mode. When you tail an enemy fighter and close at distance, you see a green circle reticle appear around that enemy. You hit both shoulder buttons and the camera zooms right in, putting you right into the action, up close and personal. We're talking blood and guts, or rather oil and shrapnel. It's definitely the metal carnage as advertised.
This is your day. Target down.
Oh, that guy's like, oh shit, no, I can see my house from here!
I can see my house from here!
Now, there are 3 huge benefits to this new system, not counting how intense and heart-poundingly fun it makes the game. First, it allows the game to show off its visuals. You actually get to see the planes up close in mid-fight. You almost never get to see that in a plane simulator. And they are all modeled beautifully, even with full interiors. My personal favorite being the F-15 Strike Eagle. Tell me what cockpit this reminds you of.
Fighting.
Use the force, Luke.
Lock.
Let go.
Target eliminated.
Force is strong with this one.
Second, it breaks up the main problem I've had with these types of games. The monotony of firing missiles thousands of kilometers away at little green-red squares off in the distance, never getting to fire your gun. Yes, that method may be more realistic and true to life, but it's not necessarily fun. And this isn't that kind of flight simulator. It's a whole different animal, and it's better for it.
More contact. Low and high. Roger that, Viper 7. You are clear to engage. There's a lot of these.
We're under heavy attack. Requesting immediate support.
Saber 5. Saber 6 is down. We need search and rescue stat.
Adjutant Jericho 1. We're targeting hostile aircraft from the ground.
Finally, the last and most annoying problem it alleviates is when in other flight combat games it degenerates, especially when you're flying against aces, into just going around in circles trying to get an edge on your opponent, just flying around and around and trying to bank harder than your opponent, and doing that for several minutes. it's really annoying. It's so frustrating to sit there and do this dance for 10 minutes straight, especially when it's 8 versus 1. Well, not only can you perform tighter turns if you time the DFM at the right moment, but you can also use DFM defensively. If an enemy forces you into dogfight mode, you have to evade as best as you can. And you can apply the air brakes and hit them with a counter maneuver.
I have a lot.
There's an old Buzz Harley move.
Boys.
All of this makes you feel like the crack ace you're really meant to be in these games. Now right away, some people may dismiss these sections as just merely on-rails shooter events, but they are clearly so much more than that. During which, you still have control of your plane, and if you don't stay locked on and stay banking with the enemy and follow his movements, you're gonna lose DFM. There are really only about 4 or 5 cutscene type DFM moments that are a little bit more scripted to give the game that wow factor, and they really only occur when you go up against top aces or enemy characters. Now, Ace Combat's famous storytelling elements are present here in the form of in-game rendered cutscenes, some of which allow you to take very limited and superficial control, like moving your head. But I appreciate any real flying game that takes the time to model the pilots and the support teams that are doing the work on the ground. And while the story itself isn't particularly interesting or unique, having to do once again with Russian rebels taking over that country, it does have a personal nemesis for you to go up against, the mysterious shark-nosed fighter pilot.
Colonel Markov, the Shark. He's leading the Coup Air Force. He is every bit as good as they say. Maybe better. Be careful.
It could have benefited from more ace-type enemy characters like the Shark, rather than this derivative story that we've seen 1,000 times. It is set in the real world, however, instead of being an alternate reality or a different kind of history like some of the previous Ace Combat games. Another good bit is that the game offers a great amount of variety. Not only will you be flying jet fighters, but you're going to be jumping into the seat of bombers as you attempt to fly under radar and carpet bomb enemy installations.
All right, stand it down.
Way to go.
Nice kill.
Of course, the AC-130 mission, which almost seems standard in every military game like this, is present. There's even one that has you fight in the air, come down, land, and while the battle is still raging in the air, have them emergency refuel your plane and take back off. That really got my heart pumping, and it's unique and something I haven't yet played.
Modified flight. You're clear to take off. Go, now!
Stand it. Whoa.
Let's go, Guts.
Colonel, I have several bogies heading for the transport. Probably hostile.
Finally, there are the helicopter missions. Now, these don't hold up quite as well. The camera has issues in third person, and the controls are definitely clunky. There's a bit of a higher learning curve, but for a lot of effort, there's really not a whole lot of payoff. These types of missions seem to last a little bit too long and overstay their welcome. The game does have some annoyances, like these overzealous cutaways that sometimes screw up your aim, especially in bomber segments. Or the realization that top aces seem to need to be taken down in DFM mode only, making it frustrating if you just want to use your missiles and your flying skill and your guns to take down these enemies without the use of DFM. DFM should have in this case be left a bit more optional. I can understand the developers' excitement about this new mode because it does work, but it needs balance. You'll either love it or you hate it, but you gotta try it.
Hurry! Magic be advised, I'm out of system.
Target down.
Roger that. Warwolf, hostiles approaching. Weapons radar active.
Affirmative.
Missile launched. Last one.
Next.
Affirmative. Warwolf 4, bandit behind you. Down here. Exhausted.
Finally, another great part of Ace Combat is after the about 8 to 9 hour campaign, there is plenty of multiplayer modes for you. Unique and interesting modes that other flight games haven't yet tried. They actually put the effort in here. Like most aerial combat games, the deathmatch mode, where it's everyone for themselves with up to 16 players in this game, is a complete chaotic mess. Nearly unplayable, with missile locks and explosions going off before you even know what the hell is going on. Thankfully though, the developers have put in unique modes like Team Domination and Capital Conquest. And what's cool here is that Domination gives players the reason to choose the attack helicopters or the multi-role fighters. Those slower fighters that clearly cannot go one-on-one with some of the more advanced fighters, there really was never a reason to pick them in previous games. Even if you love those aircraft, they just outperform. But here in Domination, they're very useful.
Destroyed. We now have more bases. Garuda 1, bandit down. That's 3 in a row. Occupation of all bases confirmed. Nice work.
Your task is to control certain points on the map like King of the Hill by eliminating the ground targets within that area and then staying within that area for a certain amount of time. And that's where attack helicopters come in very handy. Perfect for helos to play their role in cooperation with their teammates. It's a very cool mode and much appreciated from just the free-for-alls. And the other cool one is Capital Conquest. These even bring bombing runs into play, as your goal is to first take out all the ground targets in front of the enemy base. Once that's clear, you can make a very specific targeting vector bombing run. Whoever causes the enemy to lose their base first wins. Final verdict for Ace Combat Assault Horizon is a very strong 8 out of 10, with the Angry Joe badass seal of approval. There is a lot to like here. It is in your face, it is aggressive, and it's bringing something new to the table that no one else has. In a time where flight games are fighting to be relevant again. I am damn happy someone decided to step up and to see it pay off. Just don't go into this thinking this is the next Ace Combat, because it's not. With its heavy metal soundtrack, very appropriate to the metal carnage, Assault Horizon brings its own attitude for the sky. With better balance in this formula, this could be the new evolution for flight combat games, and I for one am excited to see it. So I'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.